This is Ibongirezi with the news on Zodiac. The headlines. President Chakwera pleads for unity among Malawians to stop politicizing from using them to gain political ambitions. Former MP and Cabinet Minister Nkhani joins MCP, breaks his 2-year silence in politics. Malawi Union of the Blind accuses government of lacking seriousness in special needs education investment. And in sports, Blue Eagle Sisters head coach leaving the club after 36 years of service with Malawi Police Service. Now the news in detail. President Lazarus Chakwera has asked Malawians to unite and refuse to be divided by politicians whose motives are only on fulfilling self-gratification ambitions. President Chakwera said this in Mangochi when he visited people in 2 villages where their relations were persecuted politically after a cabinet crisis 50 years ago. Chakwera said unity is a prerequisite even in the face of political culture or religious differences. And former legislator and cabinet minister Nkhani has today announced his joining of the Malawi Congress Party MCP 2 years after disappearing into oblivion on the political scene. Poya, who last worked with UTM in 2018 and served in People's Party, United Democratic Front and Democratic Progressive Party DPP regimes, has told Zodiac that he has joined MCP to help President Chakwera revamp MCP in the southern region. But a political commentator, Wanda Fumkuche, says Poya's move to MCP will add no value to the party given his nomadic political life. Are drawing closer to June 29 for local government and parliamentary by-elections. 3 candidates have withdrawn from the parliamentary race in Katabe Central constituency. Two of the three candidates from UTM and MCP representatives and have announced that they want to support Rafum Honi, candidate for PP. The third candidate who was withdrawn is Helen Gertrude Mwali, who was representing TPM according to Malawi Electoral Commission.
The candidates have withdrawn their nomination a week to by-elections slated for June 29, 2021. The Malawi Electoral Commission says Justin Prince Banda of UTM, Helen Gertrude Mwale of TPM, and Joel Dilale Nyimba of MCP have withdrawn their nomination in the Karabe Central parliamentary by-election. The withdrawal comes after UTM and MCP announced that they will support PP candidate Raf Mhone, the Advance Alliance partner. The country's electoral body further says that Hussein Miraj Maunde Jafari, an independent candidate, has also withdrawn his nomination in the Nsanje local government polls. Meanwhile, MEC spokesperson Sangwan Mafulirwa says the candidates' withdrawal from nomination will have no implication on the polls. According to Mafulirwa, the electoral body had not printed ballot papers yet. Mafulirwa says the names of the candidates in question will thus be deleted from the ballot paper template. In Karabe Central, the parliamentary by-election follows the nullification of May 2019 polls by the Supreme Court of Appeal. In Lanjo Ward in Nsanje and Chukwembere Ward in Blantyre, the by-elections will be held following dates of ward councillors. For Zodiac in the Lower Shire district of Nsanje, this is Alfred Guta reporting.
Government says global demand for COVID-19 vaccine has made it difficult for Capitol Hill to purchase some as a quick measure while waiting for 900,000 doses from COVAX in July. Minister of Health Kumbize Kandodo Chiponda said this in Lilongwe on the sidelines of the launch of the 2021 Child Health Day. She, however, said government was in discussion with bilateral partners who have stocks of the vaccine to share some to Malawi as an interim measure. Maretopidi has the details.
The country is seemingly at a COVID-19 crossroad. While the positive cases for the coronavirus is increasing, so is the demand for the AstraZeneca vaccine. Government says this is because the 900,000 doses under the COVAX facility have delayed because India, where the vaccine is being manufactured, is busy dealing with its own COVID-19 problems. Because of this, government says Malawi must wait until end July. The COVAX doses, just like the vaccine that already came to Malawi, is for free. So what about government buying as an emergency measure? Kumbize Kandodo Chiponda is the Minister of Health.
In fact, the problem is not that we are not buying, but where to buy, it is not there because there is a shortage. There's like a scramble. And unfortunately, there are just a few companies who are producing this vaccine. So that is the number one problem. So that is why we are pushing for those our partners who already have in stock so that maybe they can reserve some for us, so that we can continue the exercise. So let me assure Malawians, let me assure the country that we are working day and night to make sure that everybody should get the vaccine.
But for the Parliamentary Health Committee, government has not shown seriousness in dealing with the pandemic, as it has not allocated funds for the same in the proposed 2021-2022 national budget. Dr. Matthews Ngwale is its chairperson.
We've talked about COVID, but when it comes to the vaccines, the government has left that to the donors.
But Minister Chiponda assures that the situation is still under control. For Zodiak, this is Madalita Piri reporting.
The judiciary says notable achievements have been made in dealing with corrupt acts involving some of its officers since the establishment of Judicial Institution Integrity Committee 10 years ago. Chairperson for the committee, Judge John Chira, said in Lilongwe during a training for committee members from central and northern regions that a number of bribery cases involving magistrates and support staff have been resolved by the committee, with some sent to the Anti-Corruption Bureau for action. And SCB Director General Martha Chizuma says the institution is working hard to stamp out corruption in public institutions, including the judiciary, but inadequate funds remain a major challenge in the fight. The Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives, CDEDI, says they will continue pushing government to force tea estate companies in Mulanje and Cholo to surrender idle land within estates to landless people. CDEDI Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa said natives in the two districts have no land for farming and settlement, yet hundreds of hectares of land within estates remain unused. CDEDI led protesters in presentation of a petition on the same to President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera for action through the office of the District Commissioner in Mulanje. Hastings Jumani reports.
Speaking after presenting the petition, CDEDI Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa said land holding capacity per family in Mulanje and Cholo is at 0.6 and 0.3 hectares respectively. Namiwa said this shows critical shortage of land in the two districts, yet hundreds of hectares of land within the tea estates remain unused. He said CDEDI will continue pressurizing government to force tea, coffee, macadamia and tungsten companies surrender idle land within estates to landless people.
These people, they are trying to pressurize estate owners through government to ensure that they should immediately release all the idle land. At the same time, they should have the shareholding in the plantations, namely tea, coffee, macadamia, and tungsten. Now, today we want to tell the world that we are here, we will not relent, we will push to ensure that we should get rightfully ours, what was stolen from us.
CDEDI has joined the People's Land Organization, PLO, that has been fighting the same battle since 2010, and the two organizations claim all the land which has tea, coffee, macadamia and tungsten were grabbed from the natives for fathers. But the state companies are on record to have challenged that they have legitimate documents proving their ownership of the land in question. For Zodiak in Mulanje, this is Hastings Jimani reporting.
Authorities at the Ministry of Gender, Community Development and Social Welfare have considered the resettlement package graduates at Mulanje Vocational School for the Blind receive is too little with the current high cost of living. The school's principal, Adam Mlaga, said for 5 years now, graduated trainees have been receiving 75,000 kwacha only as a startup capital. And speaking on Friday during the 2020-2021 graduation, the ministry's principal secretary, Isaac Katopola, made assurance that the next graduates will receive an adjusted package. More on this. Watching news on Zodiac. We'll be right back shortly. Stand by.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex.
Good health starts here.
This marriage is a punishment for you, and you are going to be suffering for the rest of your life.
I thought you'd married some supermodel. Who?
Coma Narero, Narero, Narero. Narero, alipitireni Go TV, Mosavuta. Just dial star 24/7 hash to pay your Go TV or DSTV subscription. Narero, Narero. Standard Bank, it can be.
Tipolole. Kungonjezera mayunitsi ATNM kuyambira 200 kwacha kapena kuposera pamenepo mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa mamilioneya mu TNM Tipolole promotion. Koma mukaonjezera mayunitsi ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Malawi, awani masompenya amalawi watoto kula Malawi 2063 ufika 2063 kale wokobera aliyense achinyamata tikwirane manja kula Malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo kula Malawi wozimira paeka Malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusintha dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
Welcome back. You're watching News on Zodiac. Let's take a look at the headlines as we continue the news. President Chakwera pleads for unity among Malawians to stop politicians from using them to gain political ambitions. And former MP and Cabinet Minister Poya joins MCP, breaks his 2-year silence in politics. Malawi Union of the Blind accuses government of lacking seriousness in special needs education investment. And in sports, Blue Eagle Sisters head coach leaving the club after 36 years of service with Malawi Police Service. The Agriculture Ministry says farmers in the Lower Shire District will start benefiting from the Shile Transformation Program before completion of construction works on the 130 kilometers canal. Minister responsible, Robin Lowe, say that currently 6 kilometers have been done and farmers will start benefiting when 10 kilometers is covered. And still on agriculture, macadamia farmers in Cholo have high hopes for improved livelihoods as they start selling their first produce this year after 4 years of taking care of their crops. One of the farmers, 45-year-old Felix Ngwidima, says he is expecting to earn about 700,000 kwacha from 85 kilograms of macadamia that he has realized from 99 trees. And the farmers adopted the farming after being lured by the development aid from people to people, DAP, that macadamia is a lucrative crop compared to other crops. In Malawi, Union of the Blind is accusing government of lacking seriousness in special needs education investment. Malawi Union of the Blind Executive Director Ezekiel Kumwenda says in the 2021-2022 national budget, government overlooked allocation to special needs education, a development he fears might cripple education standards among the visually impaired and those with hearing impairments. He was speaking when the Minister of Education was receiving a donation of gadgets from Kilimanjaro Blind Trust Africa to aid learning in primary and secondary schools. The Deputy Minister of Education, Madaito Kambaua, assured Malawi Union of the Blind that government is doing all it can to improve special needs education. Nzomba Lisanjala lawmaker Dr. William Susuele Banda has declared failure by government to allocate resources in the 2021-2022 towards recruitment of teachers at primary, secondary and tertiary education. Dr. Banda, who was making his contribution on the financial plan, says failure to recruit teachers does not reflect well as the world all over is struggling with global pandemic COVID-19. In the 2021-2022 national budget, no resources have been set aside for recruitment of teachers in the country. And away from Parliament, the Blantyre City Council has partnered with West Advisor and Medica Aid Society of Malawi, MAZIM, to promote sustainable high standards of public health amid reports of poor sanitation in the city. The council's Mayor Ward Ndipo told journalists on Friday afternoon that through the partnership, there will be continuous collection of garbage at the main markets for Blantyre and Limbi. MAZIM Chief Executive Officer Mr. Sidney Chukoti has employed the council to work hard in reclaiming the lost glory of the city. Christopher Sunday has more.
Blantyre City Council says on average it spends 500 million kwacha a year to collect garbage that is piled up in various areas. But now the city's mayor, Ward Ndipo, claims that poor revenue collection due to COVID-19 has affected them heavily to the extent that they have been failing to collect the waste in some sites. The mayor, however, says it is pleasing that Medical Aid Society of Malawi, MAZIM, and West Advisor have decided to partner with the council to promote public health.
When we were coming in, I think in 2014, the city was very degenerated. We did our best. We've really regenerated to date. You would notice, you will agree with me that the city which was there and now, quite different. But the past months, because of the COVID, we haven't been able to collect enough to fund this.
MAZIM Chief Executive Officer Sidney Chukoti hopes their support to the council in garbage collection in Limbi and Blantyre markets will likely yield some positive results.
We are seeing that maybe efforts to keep the city haven't been high enough. Maybe the challenges that the city faces are enormous. As you know, the city of Blantyre is huge. The population is quite huge.
The collected waste from Limbi and Blantyre markets will be turned into organic manure, according to Waste Advisor Managing Director Bill Bray. Reporting for Zodiak from Blantyre, this is Christopher Sunday.
And in sports news, Blue Eagle Sisters head coach Samuel Kanyenda has announced he will be leaving the club later this year following a glittering 36-year stint with the Malawi Police Service outfit. Kanyenda told Zodiak that he is retiring from the service, consequently from the netball club as well. Kanyenda is well known for making superstars who features for the national team, the Queens, recently being Joyce Mvula, who turns out for Manchester Thunders in England. That's about what we had time for in this edition of news. And before we go and look at the headlines, President Chakwera pleads for unity among Malawians to stop politicians from using them to gain political ambitions. Former MP and Cabinet Minister Henry Poya joins MCP, breaks his 2-year silence in politics. Malawi Union of the Blind accuses government of lacking seriousness in special needs education investment. And in sports news, Blue Eagle Sisters head coach leaving the club after 36 years of service with the Malawi Police Service. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more news. This is Sibongile Ziambo. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
The summer of soccer is here.